Have paradigms and roadblocks that prevent us from excelling, and they can be real or imagined. Welcome to Beyond Bricks, a podcast that will give you the ability to break through those walls. Here's Dr. Nathan Unruh.
Welcome, everyone. I'm excited for this conversation today. You're in for a real treat. This is a gentleman I've been following for many years and reading all of his information and his books. He's got 6 books that I know of, and maybe there's more, but The Customer Service Revolution and The Secret Service, which was about hidden systems that deliver unforgettable customer service, which that book, those first 2 books I've recommended to many of you to read as you look at your own customer service or customer experience within your organizations. One of my favorite books John has written is The Relationship Economy. I just went through it here again recently. Some just real practical nuggets of understanding how to build and nurture relationships. Another book called What's the Secret to Providing a World-Class Customer Experience, and the best customer service quotes book ever, which I got it sitting here in front of me, was one of my favorites just to go and get reconnected to the information in there. It's always a good little inspiration. And then his newest book, which we're going to get into in this conversation today, the Employee Experience Revolution: How to Increase Morale, Retain Your Workforce, and Drive Business Growth. So you have a thought leader here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have a ton of nuggets that are going to come out of this discussion. So John, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on.
Well, one of the things I want to just kick this conversation off is, we talk about this podcast, if you will, about Beyond Bricks. And how I came up with that name of Beyond Bricks, John, was that there's usually this brick wall that is standing in front of us, and how we're going to differentiate ourselves and our organizations. Well, we talk about, hey, there's only a few options here. You got to go through the wall, around the wall, over the wall, or under the wall, but the option of staying on this side of the wall is not an option. And to truly differentiate our businesses in today's marketplace, we believe firmly that we have to differentiate on the customer experience. And that is a misnomer to many people that I talk to, because they'll say, well, we give great customer service, but they don't really define it well. So my first question to you is, how'd you get so passionate in this area of customer service and taking it to the next level of customer experience?
Well, 31 plus years ago, me and my wife opened our first business, a little hair salon. And like a lot of your listeners, where we opened a hair salon in the Cleveland area, Cleveland, Ohio, there was a salon in every direction. You could throw a rock and hit, 10 competitors. And we had the 3 no's. We had no money, no customers, no employees. So we couldn't outspend. I couldn't outbuild a nicer salon than anyone else. I couldn't out advertise. But this was in the early 90s. Customer experience was horrible in the salon industry. It's probably pretty poor in most industries. So that's when we said, listen, she was a great hairdresser, and the few employees we had were really good. But like any profession, there's a lot of great expertise. So we couldn't just stand alone on that. So right then we said, customer service doesn't cost us anything. And we wanted to be the best experience in our customers' day back then, and we still do. Now, the nuance to that is we didn't want to be the best experience in the hair salon, right? Let's say you or your wife came in that day. You then don't leave our salon and go to our nearest competitor to compare. So how good we were compared to other salons was kind of irrelevant. You would leave our salon and go to the dentist, go to the doctor's appointment, go to meet your friends for lunch, go shopping, your errands, wherever you're going. And we wanted to have what we called back then is a John Roberts hangover, that wherever you went after you left us sucked. It's kind of like coming home from Disney. Wherever you go after you spend a weekend in Disney, usually is disappointing. So you fast forward 15, 30 years later, And that's still what we do. We don't spend any money in advertising. So that it was just a necessity to stay alive, keep our doors open, and then it became such a competitive advantage. And all those competitors are gone today.
Yeah. So you said something there that I want to pull apart. People don't compare us to their last experience. They compare us to the last best experience.
Yeah.
So that's the hangover you're speaking of.
Yeah.
So when you work with organizations, what's the obstacle because that's a mindset.
Yeah.
How do you get them to shift that mindset?
Well, fortunately, the people that we work with are the people we shouldn't be working with. They're the Ritz Carltons or the Vance Thompsons or, the people that are so paranoid of slipping. Chick-fil-A's, right? I mean, they're the really good companies. It's not Spirit Airlines that's calling us, and they should be, right? But they don't see the value. They just want to be the cheapest. And it's a race to the bottom. So fortunately, we typically have buy-in. They're already want to be in that space, and they just need to take it up a notch or make sure that no one is gaining ground on them. But the biggest thing is that we have to teach, and any company we work with, the first thing we do is demonstrate. We call it ROX dashboard. It stands for Return on Experience Dashboard. So what are those 3 or 4 KPIs that we could measure that we can hold, your customer experience, your patient experience to accountable, and surveys are important, but I think people have survey fatigue today. Some of the things I love to measure, if the business will allow for it, and I believe most of your customers will allow for it, is repeat, obviously retained, and referrals. I don't want to know, the net promoter score says, how likely are you to refer us? Well, that's your intention. I don't want to measure your intention. I want to measure your action. So now whether we have a team of lawyers, team of consultants, team of doctors, I can look and say, Dr. Nate, out of your patients, this percentage have referred people to us. That's the highest in the organization, or it's the lowest. And we can hold accountable. So one more thing on there. One of the best KPIs to measure today is earned growth. And earned growth looks like this. Let's say last period, whatever period it is, month, year, whatever, our company did $1 million, right? Of that, what was bought and what was earned? Bought is literally you came in, you saw my ad on the social media, on the billboard, wherever, and that's why you're here. That's bought. And then earned is the difference between everyone else. It's repeat customers and it's referred customer. Now we can drive that. You drive that up by a great customer experience, and that's all profit. Now bought is shriveling up. You shouldn't even have to be buying.
So when you look at organizations, is there a certain percentage that you're rating that on, what earned growth should be? So
yeah, it's different on the industry. It's different on the maturity level, but yeah, we want to get that to be 70% earned, even higher. But sometimes it's starting off the other way. We worked with a law firm that was 20% earned and 70% bought, or 80% bought. The other thing that is really telling that your listeners can do this math. I love to ask people this. If you're to hire, I have 3 sons, 3 adult sons. They're all in their 20s. I said, if you're to hire one of my sons tomorrow to work in a customer facing position, receptionist, phone, sales, whatever that position is, how much training would you give him before you allow him to start interacting with your patients, your clients, your customers? And some people say 2 days, some people say 2 weeks, and some people say 2 months. I could care less about that first answer. Here's the answer I really want. Of the 40 hours, 400 or 4,000 hours you're going to train my son before you let him loose to your public, how much of it is technical, operational, booking an appointment, ringing out, getting insurance, which is important, it's critical. And how much is soft skill? building relationships, showing empathy, engaging, making a brilliant comeback when we drop the ball, when we run an hour late, when we screw up an appointment, whatever that may be. And in most cases, it's like 98, 99% technical, and the less than 2% customer service is really saying, hey, see the sign in the back where we eat lunch? It says we're patient obsessed, customer first, blah, blah. Yeah, do that. Well, if you tell 100 people to go above and beyond, you're going to get 100 variations. And world-class company experienced companies remove personal interpretations. They tell them what customer first or patient obsessed looks like. They have non-negotiables that go with that.
So you talk in your books about this idea of training and developing service aptitude.
Yeah.
And many of us think some of those things are just, well, common sense. You should smile. You should get eye contact. You should open the door, go grab an umbrella when it's raining, all those things. But those things aren't common sense. So speak to this idea of training and developing service aptitude, because I think that's what you're really talking about, right?
Yeah, that's everything. And I didn't introduce it because I forgot that you've been such a connoisseur of my stuff, so you know it. But yeah, it's all about how good any company is at customer experiences is their average service aptitude of their employee, from their CEO, founder, president to the newest employee starting next week. And the myth is service aptitude is common sense, right? And service aptitude, your service aptitude, my service aptitude, and our newest employee service aptitude comes from three primary places. First, life experiences. I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up staying at 5-star resorts, flying first class, getting a Mercedes-Benz when I was 16, but every company I ever worked with said, we want you to, be world-class. I don't know what world-class looks like. So the golden rule of treat customers the way you want to be treated is very dangerous. My world-class experience back when I was 19 would have been a fist bump and say, "What's up, dude?" And because that's what I used to go to Taco Bell and wherever. That was my experiences. Not my fault. The second place our service aptitude gets shaped is previous work experiences. Well, unless you're hiring directly from former Ritz-Carlton employees, Disney employees, Chick-fil-A employees, Vance Thompson employees, which none of us are, we'd love to have that pipeline, but we don't have it. That means our employees have all worked somewhere else. And when they work somewhere else, 99% of them, we're teaching them not to be paranoid, suspicious. Don't let people use our restroom unless they paid for something first. Don't let people, if they didn't call within 2 days, they can't have it, fixed or whatever it is. And so we can't control as leaders the first two things: employees' life experience and employees' work experiences. The only thing we can control is that third thing, is what we do with them, from the moment we hire them. So it goes back to my previous point. What do we do with them in the training to prepare them? And we assume that no one has high service aptitude. Service aptitude can be taught, but we have to teach them and teach them what that looks like. Again, how to show empathy, how to give the benefit of the doubt, charitable assumption. So if you come in and say, "Hey, this isn't what I wanted," believe them. Don't, try to say, "Well," and look for holes. Don't punish 98% of your customers for what you're afraid 2% are going to, take advantage of, because, I'm not smart enough to know which, the 2% are. And what we get back from the 98% that can't believe that we're trusting them and that we're not haggling them and that we overcorrected the situation, that's the earned growth. That's where earned growth comes from.
It's funny you say that. And I was just thinking about a conversation I was having here recently. And they said, we're having a lot of this complaint. Now, this is an organization that has thousands of visits in a month from customers. We're having a lot. I said, define a lot. It was like 2.
Yeah. Out
of thousands. And pretty soon what then happens is, because of those 2 that were miserable, they were difficult, lots of objections in those. Now, all of a sudden, we need to create a policy.
Right.
And aren't policies created to punish the 98% you spoke of?
Yeah. I always say remove the word policy from your vocabulary for two reasons. One, if you're my client, when we say, sorry, that's against our policy. Well, we created that to protect ourselves from the masses. And, Dr. Nate doesn't feel like the masses. He wants to feel like, a VIP that he's been coming here for 10 years and he spends more than anyone and refers everyone. And so that's the least personal thing you could say is it's against our policy. And then, you want to say, like I want to say, are you kidding me? I got, Nate's cell number. I'll call him right now and ask him about your policy. The second part of it, which is even worse, is employees don't go against policy. Policy is black and white. And, they've, whether it's be their last job or this job, they heard someone got, tarred and feather for going against policy. But then they make some, and we've done this in my salons 25 years ago. A woman called me up and we had a policy that said that if you no-showed for your appointment on, we charge your credit card, right? We're gonna, stop that. So a woman gets me on the phone and says, listen, I see that my Amex, you charged me for my appointment last month because I no-showed. And I was like, okay. And she says, well, the reason why I no-showed was my husband dropped dead that morning. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. Obviously there won't be a charge. Your next appointment's on me and I'm feeling horrible. She was, yeah, I assumed, I figured you'd do that once you'd find out. The reason why I'm calling is I called your manager of that location first, told her that, and she said, sorry, that's our policy. And I wanted to shoot the person, the employee of mine, but then I realized that's not the employee's fault, right? I put handcuffs on her. So now we have guidelines, right? But if you think, the guidelines shouldn't apply there, don't make it apply. Right. I mean, obviously, It shouldn't apply in that situation, but policy is black and white with walls that employees won't go against because they're afraid to.
Yeah, such a good, and I love what you said there. Because I'd want to go and get all upset with that team member.
Yeah.
Well, I got to look myself in the mirror. I mean, I'm the one who created that.
Right.
All right. So I want to transition a bit to one of my favorite things, and we use this a lot with our team, is this whole idea on secret service.
Yeah.
And you talk about secret service in the customer revolution as well. And guys, as you're listening to this, these are books you don't want to listen to once or read once. These are things that you want to do on a regular basis. Constantly be not just part of your onboarding of your team members, but revisiting them on a regular basis, because like everything else, vision and fundamentals leak. The things that John teaches us are fundamentals to differentiate our business on customer experience. So one of the concepts that I love is this idea of secret service. Speak to that to a moment.
Yeah, secret service is hidden systems that allow the employees to know that you're a first-time customer, a repeat customer, a VIP customer. So one of the best example that the customer doesn't know, it's silent cues and visual triggers. So one of the easiest and favorite examples that I know Matt Jensen stole from me in a good way when he was with Van Thompson is, if you walk into our salons, you'll see let's see, you see 10 guests getting their haircut. 8 or 9 maybe in a black John Roberts haircutting cape, 1 or 2 are in a white cape. To you, another customer, we have black and white capes. But to our team members, anyone in white has never been there before. So you don't have to have worked here 3 years, 3 months, or 3 hours to understand how to personalize that. You walk by a black cape. Oh, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you again. Can I get you coffee? You walk by a white cape. Hey, welcome to John Roberts. I understand this is your first experience. Can I show you, give you a tour, tell you that what else we have? And it's a different explanation. White capes don't get treated better. They get treated differently. Again, if you come once a week, you've been coming 10 years, you don't want us to read you, Nate, do you know that we have spa services and nail service? And you're like, Jesus, I know that. I get those services, right? Or have you ever been here before? Sir, we need you to fill out this info. I've been here before, right? And so we don't want your experience to be dependent on which employee you get. We want to remove employee roulette. And a lot of times employee roulette is dependent on, that I'm brand new. So obviously I'm not going to treat you as well. Well, we're not giving you a discount because you're dealing with someone brand new today. So we better have that experience as good if you're dealing with someone that's been here 3 years.
Yeah, I like that term you use, employee roulette.
Yeah. The employee
Yeah,
roulette is when the level of your client's experience is dependent on which employee or which location they get. Right.
yeah.
Listen, I've been there. I've been out and someone says, "Oh, you own John Robert?" Yeah. "Oh, I was at your Chagrin Falls salon." "Oh, who'd you go to?" And then I hold my breath. Please don't say Trisha. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we have to work towards. It's an all for one mentality. The service
Totally.
experiences,
Totally.
all of us are a part of this, not just one of us.
Right.
So John, I think I've told this to you, but I've read so much of your information and implemented it into my organizations. But I wanted to really know about it. So I sent my wife to your salon in
Oh,
Cleveland.
yeah.
And so I'm like, "Hey, all right, baby, you got to take notes. You know what? This is what he teaches. Let's see if this stuff is for real." And she went and it was truly an amazing experience from start to finish with everybody. And it made me think also, it wasn't hey, come to John Roberts and we're going to give you a 1999 haircut. There was none of that, right? It was,
Right.
price was irrelevant.
Yeah, I love those words. That's what we want to do. That's what the the DiJulius group tries to do is help make price irrelevant. And I'll give you the definition of making price relevant. First, I'm going to tell you what it's not. It's not that you can raise your prices or 20% or double your fees and not lose existing or potential customers. Making price irrelevant is based on the experience your brand consistently delivers, right? That everyone in every department, your customer should have no idea what your competition charges, right? And listen, I'm price sensitive, and I've been the idiot that's driven through 3 extra miles to save 50 cents on something, not realizing I just lost in that exchange, right? But I have a few companies, personally and professionally, that I'm so loyal to. I don't even know how they compare to their competitors, but I don't care because I know in those cases, the cheaper I go, the more it's going to cost me, right? I got peace of mind. They don't give me a reason to price shop them.
I love it. So many good things here. Okay, so I wanted to transition into your new book, which is a big. I'm so excited
Yeah.
when you released it, and I just recently got it and been starting to go through it. And it's the employee experience revolution. Why'd you write it?
Well, in each book, I visit at least a chapter to the employee experience because you can't have a world-class experience without having employee experience. What gets felt on the inside is going to get felt on the outside, right? But it really was coming out of the pandemic, the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, just this whole shift and it became the number one thing the DiJulius group was getting asked for consulting is helping them improve, fix their employee experience. Too high a turnover. Worse than people quitting and leaving was the people that are quitting and staying. And just and just wanted to raise the bar and it's so easy to be a great employer of choice today because the competition out there isn't that hard, and so I think as leaders we get sloppy. We're coming off maybe the longest economic boom since 2009 2010, and we get sloppy when we're busy in spite of our experiences that we provide. So, the book is about how to create a recruitment experience. As 10, 15, 20 years ago, if I told my son, "Hey, I want you to go apply at Dr. Nate's practice. They're really good, blah, blah, blah. You'd be a good fit there." He'd go and apply and hope he got the job. Well, today, most people know it's an employee market. And so now people are applying to 5, 6 different businesses, maybe 6 different industries, seeing who gives them the best deal. And the deal is it could be money. It could be $1 an hour, more an hour. It could be work from home, flexibility. There's a lot of different things that make up the best deal to people. And so what we want in a recruitment experience is a couple things. One, yes, weed out the wrong fits and find the rock stars. But with those rock stars, we want this to be such a great recruitment experience that if you go to another one, it pales in comparison. It is like the hangover effect of, the customer experiences. I want to work for this last company. It doesn't become about the best deal.
So what attributes do you look for in that rock star? What are ones? Because I've had people come into my business before and go, if I just had these people, my business would be a success as well. And I always giggle with that because, like, I guess what, they didn't show up this way.
Right.
I mean, we believe that our biggest investment is our people.
Yes.
What else in our lives do we invest that kind of money on per year? So it takes intention for us with each and every human being. But there are certain attributes that I've found that are critical.
Right.
So what are some of those attributes that you look for?
So first we try to make the interview process ungameable. And meaning, like, I know if a typical interview, they're going to ask me, John, what's your two biggest drawbacks? And I'm going to think and pause and say, I'm a perfectionist and workaholic, right? Bam, I nailed that question. I mean, anyone can put on a show for 30, 45 minutes. So we like to do interviews that the candidate doesn't know what we're gaming, what we're being judged on. Like the first interview, we'll interview 6 people for the same position. And we'll just say, hey, tell us a time when you went above and beyond for a client. Tell us a time when, whatever. And the candidate thinks they're being judged on who has the best answer. We could care less about the answer. What we're looking for is what you're doing when you're not answering, right? Are you peeking at your Apple Watch? Are you totally checked out? Are you trying to think of how you could one up his answer when it's your turn? Or are you looking at the candidate who's speaking right now, the co-candidate, if you will, and you're laughing because he said something funny. You're nodding because he made a good point. That's what we're judging, is what you're doing. So there's a lot of things like that. So put the skill, expertise that, depending on a lot of us, depending on the industry you're in, we want to hire for the heart and train for the parts. So there's a lot of things that we can teach them technically. Now, there are certain things accountant, lawyer, doctor. Yes, you got to make sure that they have that. We're just talking about the soft skill parts that we want to make sure that they play nice, that they're going to be nice to work with, and that they're going to be nice to the public. And so we look for things like, do they have empathy? Do they have passion for anything? Just a passion. Are they enthusiastic? Are they curious? So we have an interview questions that just ask them this. Like, one of the interview questions is, Nate, with your free time, when you're off, weekends, vacations, whatever, what is your favorite thing to do? And I don't care what the answer could be, something mine, but playing video games all day, fly fishing. It could be hanging out with my kids. I don't care what your answer, because that's pertinent to you. I want to know if you light up when you talk about that. Like, if you say, I love, but you're kind of saying it like a robot. Well, if you don't get excited when you're talking about your most favorite thing in the world to do, you're not going to be excited. And I don't want your coworkers and your clients to feel that, well, yeah, we have you checked in today at 10 o'clock. So we have a lot of things like that we ask questions that just kind of tell us if you have. Yeah, one of the questions we'll ask at the end of the interview is, all right, Nate's the candidate. Nate, what questions do you have for me? And that's a great question, because Nate might say, what's the next step? When do I find out if I get the job? Or young Nate, 19-year-old Nate might say, well, let me ask you, how did you get in this? Tell me more about this. Tell me more about that. He's taking advantage of opportunity to learn more about the company, to learn more about how I got to my steps. Maybe I started off in the same position he's applying for, and he can see him being me in 10 years. But if they have no real questions other than, when will you let me know if I got the job? That just tells me they're out interviewing, looking for, again, the best deal. And they're not really curious about a career or our company.
So I don't want you to miss this as you listen to this.
Yeah.
Hire for the heart, train for the part. That's a great statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And heart going, am I enthusiastic about life? Am I willing to give more than I get? That's what I hear in that statement.
Do I like people? That's really what we're measuring. And,
Mhm.
Nate, you know this. I can train you because I could train anyone because I know I was horrible at a lot of these things. On curiosity, on empathy, on these different things. Our training, what you do for a living will help people move the needle. Now, again, back to service aptitude. Not everyone has that yet. The one thing 10,000 hours won't move the needle on is if you don't genuinely like people. And so I have to find out that we have to find out that if you just don't like people, and there's people that just don't love other people, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But they probably should be in a cubicle crunching numbers and not interacting with other human beings, and they'll probably be happy, and definitely the customers will be happy. But if we're thinking about any customer facing position, all the training in the world, I can't get you to read, watch videos, and put you through training that's going to get you to like people. And so the things I can't train, I want to make sure you bring or you have, or recast you for a different role, or, suggest another company to work at.
Yes, very good. So we're super excited, super blessed and honored to have you in Sioux Falls for Brain Spa.
It's coming up. I can't wait.
It's coming up September.
September. What's the date?
September 18th.
Yes.
What can the people that are going to be coming to that event expect to get from you?
Well, I'm going to be going over my newest book, The Employee Experience Revolution. So it's great for leaders, and I'm going to be talking about the power of purpose. I'm going to be how the silver lining of the pandemic was that the currency for employees is purpose, meaning and purpose, and we got to bring meaning and purpose back to their jobs and tie everyone's in. I'm going to talk about creating a recruitment experience. I'm going to talk about creating an onboarding experience that starts from the moment we hire you, not the first day of work, because sometimes there could be a 2-week month gap. And it's called hires remorse, that you're still getting offers from other companies you interviewed. And, we told you, all right, Nate, you start, August 15th. We'll see you then. Go check in and ask for Matt on August 15th. Well, now you get hires remorse because they're 2 weeks. We ghost you. So a great onboarding experience, a great employee experience that is a culture moat that doesn't allow rock stars to get recruited away. How to develop emerging leaders, because 82% of managers today are accidental managers. And everyone, is painful saying, yeah, I got that. And it's kind of like say, hey, Nate, you have the most seniority, so we're promoting you today. And you may or may not be right fit, but we didn't prepare you for that. Friday, you're out drinking with your coworkers. Monday, you have to be leading them. I mean, we threw you into the fire, right? And so, all these things, my definition for an employee experience revolution is great leaders need to build companies that allow their employees to live extraordinary lives, right? And so, when we do that, we're going to have higher morale, lower employee turnover, and these companies are the most profitable and highest in sales. So there isn't not just an altruistic benefit, there is a financial benefit.
Love it. Well, I can't wait to have you.
I'm so excited, Nate. I can't wait to work with you and Matt and meet all your wonderful clients.
It's gonna be a blast. So here's what I want everybody, as you listen to this, go out and it's the DiJuliusGroup.com, correct?
Yes.
You can learn more about John. I'd highly recommend the books that I listed: The Customer Experience or the Customer Service Revolution, The Employee Experience Revolution, The Relationship Economy, Secret Service. These are must reads, and not just read to have the knowledge, but taking that knowledge and executing and implementing it into your organization. So as you prepare for Brain Spa, and as you're working each and every day to really differentiate yourself on the service and experience you provide, use this information, dive into it. So John, thanks again for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Have paradigms and roadblocks that prevent us from excelling, and they can be real or imagined. Welcome to Beyond Bricks, a podcast that will give you the ability to break through those walls. Here's Dr. Nathan Unruh.